Mark Capper. We're from Lafayette, Louisiana, and you're watching Eclectic Arts.
Hello.
Hi, this is Bethany Berger, and you're watching
Eclectic Arts.
Aloha, I'm Jake Shimabukuro, and you're watching Eclectic Arts Media with my good friend Mark.
Let me hold this the right way. We're exiting the good light, so you guys get the awful truth. No, I'm kidding.
Then you got people that are hard workers, and then you have, hey!
He was super excited about it. He's like, we're going to cut your eye. I was like, oh, okay, sure.
I mean, I thought it was really good. It's just half the time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, why did you do that? Why are you making that face?
As always, Mark, it's always an honor to hang out with you and spend this evening with you. And visit with you for dang sure. I really appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Far apart, bound up together with identical hearts. It's a beautiful thing in the middle of spring. Picked up dust, half-hearted cares, to catch on together, throw them back in the air. 'Cause nothing sticks to the runaway ship that we are.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts Media, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday, the 31st of January, 2023, the last day of January. Where did this month go? And as always, I have a few housekeeping details to go through. And I'd like to first thank Mike Evans for joining me this past Saturday for round 2 of his interview. It was really great getting to know Mike more in depth with all the work in his animated series and also with his band and just kind of his connection to Alice that I also have. So it's really great having Mike back. And I do have a couple other live stream interviews in the works. So if you'd like to know more details about when those are actually confirmed, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first, and then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. Also maybe like this video. That's greatly appreciated. And if you would like to join the chat, all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you're on the Twitch side of things, if you follow me over there, you can join the chat from there as well to ask questions or comments for my guests. Please be aware that I'm the only one who sees those questions or comments, and then I will fold them into the conversation as we go. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting to the interview tonight. And it seems like, this month's just been kind of a blur. I think a lot of it has to do with some of the in-person events that I've been doing, the film reviews that I still do, and then of course being here in the virtual world, as I've mentioned through some other guests and also some other people. I love having this as a tool to connect with guests, and then sometimes it's even great that I do it this way, and then they actually come touring through Seattle, and then I get to see them in person. So we'll kind of see what happens with 2023. All right, my guest today is a talented singer-songwriter. Her latest single was just released called Runaway Ship. We heard a little bit of that during the video. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Media virtual studio, Miss Julia Poorman.
Hello.
Hi, Julia. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, and we were talking pre-show that being musicians, when you get your song out to the world, it's kind of like releasing like a baby type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So how are you feeling about the Runaway Ship now that it's out there for everyone to hear?
Really excited. Yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride releasing music in this day and age, especially because when I was first releasing it on CDs, years and years ago, now to kind of do it this way and to see it getting added to playlists and see the streams and everything, it's really exciting.
That's great. And yeah, that you have things to compare to that. The industry's clearly changed a lot.
Yeah.
And the analytics that you look at now are completely different than the ones from 10, 12 years ago.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
And so for people that aren't familiar with that particular song with Runaway Ship, What was the seed of it? How did it kind of become a song?
Yeah, so I started writing. I wrote that song originally about a year ago, and sat with it a little while. Worked on it with my producer and co-writer Danny, and eventually it became what it is now. But I kind of wrote it in the beginning, or framing it toward the beginning of my relationship with my now fiance, and just kind of put myself back into the beginning stages of that. Like, what was it like, when we were kind of first falling in love, and just try to put myself back into my younger shoes. And then also allowing that relationship to evolve. And now it's like nothing sticks to our runaway ship, right? So in the beginning, it might be exciting and you're traveling and you're experiencing all these things with another person. But then as your relationship kind of grows and evolves, and you're each allowing each other the space to grow and evolve and all of that, you kind of weather storms together. And so that's really what it's about, is just kind of making it through and loving each other through that process.
Okay, and I think what's really nice about that is that can be something that's really kind of applied to almost anybody, even in a friendship and something else, where you start off with somebody and then just kind of watching how it kind of goes ups and down, ebbs and flows. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious, just me being the way I am. Do you tend to write with a guitar or keyboard? How do you come up with your things initially?
Yeah, I do typically write on guitar. I would like to learn keyboard. I still don't know how to play the piano or keyboard, so that is something I'm eagerly awaiting to get my hands on. But yeah, usually with guitar.
Okay, and I was talking to one songwriter who was telling me that she tends to come up with her melodies first, and then the chords the second, and some people the other way around. Which do you tend to be?
I would say a little bit of both, honestly. Sometimes I'll just hear a melody in my head and then I have to go, try and play it with the guitar. Other times I'll just start with a chord progression and then I'm just kind of sitting there playing, and then I'll typically hear a melody. But yeah, either one of those two orders typically. Yeah.
Okay, and it's different for every artist. But when do you feel that when you're writing a song like "Runaway Ship" that it's done, quote unquote, that it's like, I don't need to do anything else to it? Like, okay, this is ready to go and we can record it and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah. I think when it feels like the journey is complete, when it feels like you've kind of taken that ride, like you've built up to the chorus, you hit the chorus, you go back to that verse, you hit another chorus, maybe there's a bridge that really elevates the track, and then you kind of end on this really kind of conclusive moment. And I think when it flows really well and it just feels really good, that's typically when I consider that done. Yeah, and then if Danny has any other 2 cents to add to that, or typically, he really helps elevate. Like with "Runaway Ship," I mean, just right away, right off the bat, that there's a cool part in the song. It's actually my favorite part of the song, where it kind of goes into a little bit of a break in a key change, sort of, and it goes into that dum da dum dum day, dum da dum dum day. Put your money in your pocket and let's run away. That was actually him. I can't even take credit for that. So I like to kind of work with him like that, because he's able to bring something to the table that maybe I didn't think of, and we work really well together in that way.
Well, that's awesome. I have a random mind, so forgive me. How did you end up meeting Danny and working together?
I met Danny through Lake House Music Academy in Asbury Park. I joined about a year and a half ago, and I started taking co-writing classes there just so I could start to work with some other artists. And he just happened to be my songwriting coach at the time. And we just hit it off. We worked really well together, and we just never stopped working together since then.
Okay. And if memory serves, I think I saw that you had posted something where it was a clip of you performing "Runaway Ship," like acoustically live in front of an audience.
Yeah.
Have you been kind of playing it out before you had a chance to record it then?
Yes. Yep. I had been playing it out for probably solid 6 months until we actually laid it down and recorded it. And it did change a little bit from even my earlier recordings. The song did evolve a little bit. So you'll notice that.
I think that's and any musician out there knows that that's some of the fun, when you're actually starting with the song and then you start especially if you're performing it before you record it, it's like maybe something changes a little bit here, it gets a little bit longer, or maybe change a lyric even.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, it feels like it's really good, but I just tweaked it a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah, it's a cool process, right? And then sometimes I go back and I listen to the first version and I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't think I changed that much, but it sounds so different. And it sounds so much better now that I've given it some time to breathe and I've come back to it with maybe a new, fresh mind or fresh ideas.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I had somebody that was a friend of mine that was listening to, I think it was maybe like the 4th version of a demo I had done. And he was kind of like, man, you changed this up a lot. And I'm like, I did? Just what you said, I had to go back to him like, oh, wow, yeah, that drum part's different. And then we added this other piece here that was gone. And I just didn't quite realize it because you're just kind of on that journey with it. So, I think I want to do this and do this to it. And then go back to the beginning. It's like, oh, wow, that was a longer journey than I thought.
Yeah, just kind of layer by layer by layer, right?
Totally. And so as you mentioned that you write with guitar, are there other instruments that you play?
Not currently. I mean, I am learning like plug-in instruments. I'm starting to learn Logic a little bit and learning some music production. So I guess if you consider that an instrument in today's day and age, it probably is. But but no, as far as like actually a physical instrument, just the guitar for right now.
Okay, no, that's really cool. That you're finding a way to express yourself, and it sounds like you've been doing it for quite a while as well. So before we go all the way back, let's go back just to last year when Already Got It came out. I think that was actually the first thing that came across my purview when it comes to your music, and I really like that song a lot. And I don't know what happened between that and the song Runaway Ship, because I remember thinking I need to reach out to your publicist about trying to talk to you about that one, and I must have been up ahead in the clouds or something. But here we are now. But what can you tell me about that specific song?
Yeah, so I wrote that one probably a few months before I wrote Runaway Ship. And that song was really just kind of born out of a place of me trying to heal myself, basically trying to heal some patterns that I had in my brain. Just kind of comparing my life to others, or, comparing things I didn't have and things that other people had that I felt like maybe I should have by now. You know what I mean? And I think that's a really common thing. And so as the lyrics were coming to me, I just felt like it was a really relatable song on so many levels, whether that's physical things or whether it's, like tangible things like a house or a car or whatever, right? Or if it's about like, your physical appearance and just wishing that you looked like somebody else, or wishing you were younger, or wishing you were taller or thinner or whatever, right? It's like everybody kind of has these, body image things that they wish they could fix or be someone else. And at the end of the day, we pretty much always learn the grass usually isn't greener on the other side. And happiness really is a lot more simple than we maybe make it out to be. And I think we just live in a world that really makes us constantly feel like we always need to buy or we need something in order to be happy. So I don't think that it's like our fault that we feel that way. I think that's absolutely just the nature of like the time and the day and age we live in. But yeah, I just wanted the song to be a feel good song and just kind of lift people's spirits up.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think at least the other, I'm an old fart. So the other piece I could throw into this is that we're in a day and age where it's so content driven, like constantly you need to be putting something out. You need to be doing this. If you're not, somehow you're missing out. And it's kind of like, it doesn't have to be that way, let alone comparing yourself to other people or things you don't like about yourself, either physically or, as you mentioned, it's kind of like, what's the person next to me kind of doing? It's like, well, what do you want to be doing? I'm definitely a subscriber to like trying to stay in my lane in those terms, and not sitting there like staring at somebody else. Oh man, they're doing so much better than me, and then they have more numbers and more whatever, more followers and all that. Like, are you happy with what you're doing? Are you getting where you want to go? Are you making other people, are you entertaining them, or are they, are resonating with what you're doing? Then that's success. That's where it is. It doesn't have to be a numbers driven thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be so grandiose. And also too, I think just like focusing, if we just focus on what brings us peace, what feels good, and we just want to keep doing things that feel good, then we'll be doing more good feeling things more often, and then we're happier people because of that.
Yeah, I agree. There's been many guests who've talked about manifestation, things that you believe in, and what where you want to kind of see it. It starts to happen when you start kind of putting that out there.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that too. I don't want to get too like hippy dippy, but you know, I do believe in that. So it's you'll hear it in my lyrics for sure.
No, I totally agree with it, because there's things that have happened to me that I'm so grateful for, that it's kind of like, and I've used this example a lot, but it's like, you know, the age-old saying of like, you know, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. And in the social media age, everyone has a platform, or they think they have a platform.
Yeah.
And so they can come and be as negative as they want to and say what they want, because you're never going to meet them. And it's kind of like, why don't you use that energy for something good? Why don't you put it out for something that's going to maybe enhance, you know, your life or other people's lives? Why do you want to take away from it?
I know. I've never understood that, honestly. I don't know. I think maybe just a lot of projection. I think a lot of people are hurt and they project instead of healing. And it's unfortunate, but hopefully they learn from that and they evolve and grow and realize that that wasn't serving anybody.
I hope so too. I had somebody that left like on one of my YouTube live streams a comment that was like super, super long. I mean, they really put a bunch of stuff out. I'm like, oh, that must have taken you a long time to write.
Yeah, like how much energy do you want to put out there? Like, yeah, it's wild.
It is, and it's what's funny to me is that same person came back like over a year later and made some snide remark about something else, like on my Instagram page. And I'm kind of like, oh, I remember you. You're the one that left that long comment. I just laughed about it because it's like, are you that much of a gatekeeper that you're just
and they still came back too? It's like, if you don't like it, move on, you know?
Yeah. There's plenty of other people to follow or things to watch. Or
there's plenty of things I see that I don't like, but I'm not gonna comment and be, you know what I mean? Like, I just move on, just keep scrolling. There's plenty of things to see.
No, exactly. That's why I'm like, why would you take that amount of time? But as you said, you know, maybe that person's got their own set of issues and all the things that they're trying to work through. And so that makes them feel somehow better by saying things like that to someone like myself. And I'll sit there and just kind of laugh at it and just move right on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of curious too with these two songs. Do you have like, is there a map in your head to do like an EP with this, or is it kind of just doing song by song?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a plan that I would really like to put out an EP. I'm going to continue putting out singles, so every 6 to 9 weeks you'll hear something new from me. Probably until I have enough to fill up an EP, and then maybe I'll do like another 1 or 2 unreleased songs on that EP and just kind of put it all out there together and just kind of bookmark like a little moment in time, you know, just to have some kind of something. And it would be cool to, you know, to have something to like sell, like, you know, a physical CD if anyone wants to buy those anymore, or some vinyls, you know, that would be really cool. So I'm really thinking about that and considering it for sure.
Okay, I'm one of those people that still buy CD.
Yes. If you have anything to play it in, I'm noticing like all the new stuff, like my computer doesn't take it, my car doesn't take it. Like there's nothing that I have that plays a CD. You literally have to like go buy a CD player and like plug it in somehow with a USB. Like you got to figure it out. But yeah.
Yeah, no, you're that's what makes me feel so ancient. It's kind of like, and I can see my CD player over here. I think the other thing that works for some people is you should be able to pop it into like your DVD or your Blu-ray player. If you still have one of those, if you're not streaming everything, which of course people are.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I know. Even like a year ago, I was like, I think I still have a DVD player. Ripped through the closet. No, don't have it. So
I recently moved to the area that I'm in like a little over a year ago, and I actually have a VHS player right there. I can see.
Oh, nice. You know, I have a feeling those are going to come back around. Like, you know, just like vinyl's like making a reappearance. Like pretty soon Urban Outfitters is going to be selling like VHS players. And we're going to be like, why didn't we just hang on to them?
And you know what? So I review films as well with my media outlet. And one genre of film that is definitely going to VHS, like new VHS releases, is horror. Horror fans, they love to collect physical media, and I saw that for a film that just came out like maybe 6 months ago. I'm like, is that a VHS that they're trying to sell as like a new thing? And it was like $39.99 or something.
Wow.
But the kitschy collector is like, oh, I want that because they sent people back to when they had them. And
yeah, there's a community for sure. That's really cool.
yeah, so we'll see. But if you get this together as an EP and you decide to have a CD to sell at shows or that type, I'm one of those people that still likes to look for that kind of stuff and try to support artists that way. So
very cool. Yeah, maybe I'll make a small batch. You never know. We could do like 50, see how it goes.
yeah, even like this artist here, Kelly Monroe, she did CDs because she said, Mark, I wanted one in my hand. I said, I don't care if anybody buys it. Because we were talking during her interview, and she's a great lady. I had no idea that she had a CD to buy. So she said, oh, Mark, I'll just send you one. I've got some that I made just for myself, but I got some other ones too. So that tangible.
That's awesome. Yeah, it just feels good. You feel accomplished. You're like, oh, here's my thing. I have it.
Yeah, you can put it next to your head. You can show it to people. You can take selfies with it.
Exactly.
All of that kind of thing. And one thing I saw, and maybe actually a better question would be, who are some of your influences, songwriting wise, but also vocally?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I feel like I just listen to such a broad range. I'm not really the type of person that's like, I like this music, It's like I really have an appreciation for pretty much all music and a lot of different artists. So it's like I go back to like the 90s for like Alanis or Sheryl Crow. I like newer artists, Casey Musgraves. I really like this band called Muna, and it's like I think they're probably around my age. They do a lot of like dance, electronic kind of dance pop music, but also really, really amazing lyrics. So I can respect them a lot. I like artists like Donovan Woods and Trevor Hall. So I'm kind of like all over the map with my influences. But I would say a lot of my stuff definitely has like a late 90s, early 2000s kind of influence because I listen to a lot of that stuff. Like I'm always listening to like pop rocks on Sirius XM, like, or like 90s on 9. So I think just subconsciously, the more you listen to that kind of stuff and the more you enjoy it, the more it comes out in your art.
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah.
If I want to start playing my guitar in a certain style of music, I will listen to that music for a while, and it just kind of starts seeping into what I do.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned Muna because I actually covered them in 2017 when they were just coming out.
Yes,
yeah.
That's when I found them, and I think the first song I heard was So Special, and I was like, I love how this girl sings, like just the way she's singing is so cool. She would say words like so interestingly, and then we went to see them in Philly like a month later, and it was this little club in Philly. We went up the stairs, there was maybe like 50 people there, and it was amazing, and I've loved them ever since.
Yeah, I saw them in a club out here in Seattle. It was a sold out show of 200.
Wow.
And I was like right in front taking pictures and writing a review later. And I got the set list and I was going to stick around to have them sign it. And then I can't remember what happened, but either I got a text or a phone call. So I actually had to leave that club and go deal with whatever was going on.
Wow.
So I had the set list, but there's no signatures on
Oh my God. But that's still such a cool experience. They're really blowing up now. They're doing really well.
They are, because I know they're coming back to Seattle and they're playing a place that holds about 1,200 people. They're headlining that show. So I think it's time that I try to get credentialed for that show so I can see them.
Yes.
It's so great when you get to see somebody who's so good starting off, in a 50 to a 200 seat place, not even a seat from where I was at. And then they're at these bigger places and their music's maybe matured or whatever else has happened to them.
Yeah.
And kind of seeing them just on that journey and watching them kind of just kind of go.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see people grow and evolve like that. It's special. It's cool that we have the documentation to be able to see that now in this day and age, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And now that I think about it, when I was kind of half making jokes about VHS and all that, they were I bet you I have that thing somewhere around here. I remember I bought a cassette at their show.
Oh.
just because I thought it was like, wow, you don't see this every day.
Yeah, I bought their CD, but I didn't know they had that. I didn't know they had cassettes. That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't even think I took the wrapping off of it. They had cassettes. I'm like, yeah, I need one of those.
Oh, it'll be worth, I mean, it probably already is worth something, but I mean, like, they keep going in the direction. Keep that thing wrapped up. It's, it'll be pristine.
Yeah. More power to Muna, helps me out.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, do you have plans, or maybe you already shot a music video for Runaway Ship?
I've not shot a music video for Runaway Ship, not yet at least, but my next single that I have coming out, I can't release the date yet, but I'm planning on doing a video shoot for that as well. Okay.
And yeah. Do you like that process of making videos? Do you ever see yourself like wanting to become like a filmmaker at any point somewhere down the road, or is it like, no, I'm staying with music?
I feel like filmmaking doesn't necessarily interest me, but being like on film definitely does. I would like to, maybe eventually dip my toe into like some kind of like acting, maybe a little bit. I've always kind of enjoyed that, especially like comedy stuff. Like I used to do a lot of parody stuff growing up, make videos for school projects and whatnot. But yeah, no, being on film would be cool. Making more music videos would be cool. And just kind of teaming up with a really good videographer is really all I need. That's as far as my interest goes.
Okay, well, and that's actually a really good segue when you're talking about that you used to do parodies.
Yeah.
Can you bring me back? So when did like music kind of enter your life? Were you like, just right out of the womb, or it's kind of like came along later? What were things like for younger Julia?
Yeah. Well, I have videos of me. My sister sent me this Google Drive about a year ago, and there's just like archives of all of the stuff we used to film on our little camcorder, or like that even my dad recorded like 10 years before that. And so there's a video of me screaming, singing, but I was screaming in my little flower girl dress. I was probably like 3.5, and I'm screaming, well, I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away. So like, I was a little girl. So I would say based on that, I mean, and I can't even remember back that far. So probably when I was like 2 or 3, my mom said she used to sing the Little Mermaid theme song with my sister and I when we were taking baths. And like, she's like, you and your sister both had like perfect pitch, and you guys were like 2 and 5, So yeah, I guess it's always kind of been in my blood.
Okay, and so were you doing choir or band through school as well?
Yeah. I tried to play instruments. When you're a kid and you try the violin for a year, and then you try the flute for a year, and then I was like, all right, I'm good on like the orchestra stuff. Then I got more into chorus. So then I was in chorus pretty much, I don't know, definitely all of high school. I probably was in chorus during middle school too, but yeah, always vocal forward for me. Like I've always been really into singing and working on my voice. And then I picked up guitar early high school, late middle school, early high school. I really started picking that up. And I really just kind of looked at it as a way to bring my songs to life. I just kind of, you can't really sing a cappella you can't really get an a cappella gig. So, my mom's like, hey, why don't you try guitar? Because my mom played when she was in high school. So I started playing her old guitar, and I had that for years. So when I was in high school, I'd play out gigs with my mom's, 1987 guitar, whatever year it was from.
Okay, that would be an interesting prospect of like doing a gig and you just start singing a cappella.
Yeah. See how many people stay in the room.
Yeah, and almost like even if you just like started your set just by doing one a cappella song, and then you go into what your normal numbers with the guitar and everything.
Yeah, that might be cool. Like what if that was like my thing, right?
Yeah.
We'll give you credit for it.
Okay, yeah, it was born here, everyone.
It was born here.
Because I would think like, I'm thinking back to like the places my duo played, that if my singer started just singing and I was like off somewhere else, not even plugged in or whatever,
Yeah.
Either people would ignore her or they would probably stop what they're doing and just kind of listen because it's so different.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
cool.
That sounds like an idea.
Well, it's even cooler if you have like, people that can help you with harmonies. If you have backing vocals too, and you can start something that's like beautifully stunning, kind of show stopping, where it just sounds, you have like that 3-part harmony, something like that would be really beautiful.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that definitely would get people's attention.
Yeah.
If they heard, whoa, where's that coming from?
Right.
Totally. Put their beer down and kind of pay attention to you.
As long as it's good, then yes. Otherwise, people are like, "Oh, all right, turn the guitar up. Who's playing drums? Come on."
How often do you get to play live shows?
So I did quite a lot right before like Christmas, right before holiday time. And I'm working on booking a lot more for the spring. I want to do like, a lot of acoustic stuff, just locally. And then, I'm looking to book some full band gigs too, and just try and, open up for some people that are local, in the New Jersey, New York area. So yeah, I mean, it would be really cool to like finish out the summer and have another like 24 gigs under my belt. That would be really awesome.
Cool. Yeah. And there's, as we were talking about, I mean, during this area, there's nothing like how songs kind of take shape in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And even if you think you're done, even if you just do the live version of it, maybe you do something a little bit different, or the audience really responds to it if you do something, if it gets elongated in the middle, or you do some other kind of, I don't know, call and response or something with it.
Right. Yeah, totally. You can kind of switch it up to engage your audience a bit, for sure. I know there's been a lot of times where I've been at shows and really appreciated that, stuff like that. Just kind of brings you into the moment, makes you feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that was something my singer and I, we had to kind of work like on our banter between songs.
Yeah.
Because if you're just kind of like quiet, you don't know what to say, then it gets kind of awkward.
Yeah. You have to feel like, comfortable, being able to talk and have sort of like something small to say. So you're not just like, all right, our next song is.
Yeah, I saw a young guy I think he said he was 20. He opened for Fits and the Tantrums just a couple of weeks ago. And his in-between stuff was so good. And he said, like, this is like my 6th live gig ever.
Wow. It comes naturally for a lot of people.
Yeah, he was self-deprecating and really just talking about where, the origin of a song. And, if you guys want to sing along with it, I know you can't because you don't know it because nobody knows who I am. Things like that.
Yeah.
And he really sucked that crowd into him. I mean, they were really applauding him by the end of his 30-minute set.
Very cool.
And even for myself, I'm like, who's opening this? I was looking at my notes and stuff, so I don't know who that is, but we'll find out. And he came out and did his thing, and it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's almost like a lost art to that live interaction with your audience, especially when you're up and coming and people don't quite know you yet.
Yeah.
You got to thrust yourself out there.
Yeah, you do. And you really want to do it in the right way too. So you want to make sure you're prepared. There's a lot of practicing in the mirror before you get up there.
Yeah, I used to have my mom, because she's probably watching this right now. Hi, Mom. She used to come to all the shows, and I would have her record certain songs that were new in our set, because I wanted to see, like, either one, how it sounded, but then two, what are we doing visually?
Yeah.
Am I sitting there like staring at my fretboard the entire time instead of like looking at people? What's the singer doing?
No, it's good. It's good to be able to analyze that.
Yeah, and even just for like for the archives or whatever you want to call it, you can go back like, oh my God, look at that thing, or listen how we sounded. But
yeah,
everybody starts somewhere.
Totally. Yes, 100%.
Cool. And did you? I know you mentioned you were in chorus. Did you ever take like lessons outside of doing chorus and that type of thing for your voice?
To be honest, I've only had like 3 or 4 vocal lessons in my whole life. And I want to do a little bit more because I just want to work on things like expanding my range and whatnot. But I did it because I was auditioning for a school play, and I really wanted to have like a theatrical voice. So I was like, how can I make my voice carry? And, so I took some vocal lessons. That was probably when I was like 15. And that's really it. I mean, I took guitar lessons when I was in high school for a very brief amount of time. And then the rest has really just been kind of on my own. YouTube's great. Obviously, you can YouTube anything. So if you want to, learn how to finger pick or, just learn different chord progressions or different bar chords or, there's just so much out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And for someone like me that had to go through a time when the internet didn't exist to learn things.
Everything must have been so much harder. Like, I don't know how anyone got anywhere, like pulling out maps. Like, yeah. Good for you guys. That was tough.
Yeah, no, maps and payphones.
Yeah, geez. It's kind of funny. I've been getting back into like watching Seinfeld. It's like something my parents always watched. And as a kid, I didn't really understand it or think it was funny because I just didn't get it. But going back, there's so many episodes that's just like that would be so irrelevant today because, everyone knows where everyone is. Everyone has internet at their fingertips. Everyone can drop pins. Like that would never happen, So it's really wild to be able to like, kind of jump in a time machine in that way, but it's so funny.
Yeah, and see, and so I'm probably like your parents' age, or maybe even a little older, because I watched Seinfeld as it aired back in the day on NBC, and it's strange for me because I look at it like, man, look how old this show is. I could be watching an episode that might be like 20 something years old. I'm like, is it that old? Because it doesn't feel that way to me because I saw it back in the day. But then same like we're seeing a band. I may have seen a band back in the 80s. And then they're still touring now, and they're like 72 or whatever they are. Like,
really? Yeah, time really is flying. I feel like just the older you get, the faster it goes, and it's kind of unbelievable. I heard some YouTube video today was talking about how the pandemic was entering in the 4th year, and I was like, 4th year? I was like, no, we're going on like 2.5. And then I counted, and I was like, actually, we are about to enter the 4th year of like COVID. You know what I mean? Even though it's not what it was, But still, I was just like, wow, I cannot believe that was so long ago. Wild, mind-boggling.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And even just that particular time for everybody, it almost feels like, obviously we know what happened because we went through it. But
yeah.
It's kind of like this weird blip for me of like, yeah, I know I did a bunch of interviews virtually with people, and I know I did some film reviews, and then I think I'm going to see that person in they're going to tour and come here to Seattle, but it just feels like it was just off in its corner. Everything that happened during that time. Everybody
kind of feels that way. I think it just like rocked the entire world. So it just like everything just felt like faster or just like morphed or like, I don't know if people blocked it out of their memories. So they felt like it went faster. They just like, no, we're not going there. So yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely wild. It's like we jumped in a time machine and we just 2023. Now we are.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing. And now I have the virtual world. I've got in-person world. I've got everything, which I love. Don't get me wrong. But now it's like my plate is like infinitely more full now because I'm trying to do everything. I'm not just doing one world or the other. It's like you want to do all of it.
Yep.
And I also know, at least from my end of things, that during the pandemic, that people couldn't be on a film set. They weren't touring. They weren't doing shows. So having access to people back then, it's like, yeah, Mark, I'll come on. Because what else are they doing?
Yeah, right like, well, we're home. We're not. We don't have anything else on our plate.
Our tour got canceled, and my Broadway show isn't doing anything. So yeah, if you want to talk to me, great. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And now it's so great because I can try to get a hold of some people, and they're like, did this tour and this tour and this tour, and they're doing this kind of thing. And we're in the kind of almost like working toward this medium of we've got stuff that we can do virtually, and it's such a great tool, like I mentioned before. But then we also have things that are in person, like you said, you're going to be setting up shows, hopefully for the spring and summer. Get out there and get your music to the people.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you've got probably some other singles that maybe 6 to 9 weeks kind of coming out, and hopefully maybe it'll culminate in an EP. And if my memory serves, you released an EP a long time ago, right? You had something.
I did.
Okay.
Yes, in 2012.
Okay. Wow. So 11 years ago. Okay.
Yes. Yes. It was my senior year of high school, and I released that and never really did anything with it because like I don't think Spotify even existed at the time. And if it did, it was in its infancy. So I was stuck with like 500 CDs, and I was, at the time where I was like, should I go to college? Like, should I get a job? Like, what should I do with my life? And I wasn't pursuing music really full time. Like past 2013, 2014, I wasn't like actively touring. So I still have all these CDs. I did sell a good handful of them, but I'm still like, when I play out, I still bring them because I'm like, I don't really sound like this anymore. But if you want a CD, it's $10. Here you go.
There's a really wonderful local music artist here, and when I first met her, because I've seen her like 3 times, I think, and I was going to buy her CD that was at her table.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, you don't want to buy that because that's like from when I was like maybe 6 years old. I'm like, yeah, but I'd like to hear it, even if you don't feel like that's how you are now. It's still how you were back then, so it's a snapshot.
Yeah.
And
that's a good way of looking at it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had some money on me, but yeah, she actually steered me away from buying that. So Mark, I have a new one coming out. So I that was like, well, why do you even have those?
Yeah, don't put it on your table.
Stick them back. Yeah, stick them back into your suitcase thing that you opened up for your merch table.
Yeah. I get it though, because I feel like I kind of know where she's coming from with that by being maybe like a little, I don't know, embarrassed or slightly ashamed or whatever. But it's like, it's a snapshot of where you were at one point and not representative necessarily of where you are now. And people get that. And plus, nobody else is going to scrutinize you like you scrutinize you,
Yeah, that's absolutely true because I don't know. I didn't know you back then, and I don't know where your headspace was when you were writing these songs. So it's like, I'm just going to hear them just to hear them. And that's how I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh my God, I've gotten so much better, Mark,
right,
than what these were. But you can say that about any music artist, really. You listen to their first album to their 30th album or whatever.
For sure. Yeah, you can definitely. I mean, even if you listen to like, let's even take one of the biggest superstars like Taylor Swift. If you go back to her old stuff, I mean, she's still a great writer back then, but her voice has changed a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it happens to everybody. So it's like, this is what I was doing at the time. I was proud of it. And now I'm proud of this. So, well, Julia, thank you so much for taking the time tonight. I really appreciate talking to you and learning more about Runaway Ship and all your music background and everything else. And as I mentioned to you, I think pre-show, I love having guests come back. So if you have another single, it sounds like you will, coming out, if you have that / video that you would like to come on and promote, I'd love to have you come back on and talk about it and kind of see where things are at. And until that time, I do wish you every success with everything that you're working toward, and hope that I get a chance to talk to you sooner than later.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And right back at you. Much success to you as well and everything that you do. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Awesome. Have a great night over there.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.